Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to have you join me on this transformative journey. You see, every day we dive into a powerful conversation about self-discovery, healing, and empowerment. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself is the first step to living a fulfilling life. You can expect insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories. Plus, we'll occasionally welcome special guests who will share their unique perspectives on self-love and personal growth. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's embark on this journey together. Because it's time to embrace the beautiful person that you are. So let's elevate our lives one episode at a time. Now let's get started. Hey, my beautiful people. Well, welcome back to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am so glad to have you join with me today as we continue our series of the Acts of Balance in Life. We are in our last week. Yes, this is our last week in this month. We have been exploring on how we can find harmony in our lives, and today's episode is all about boundaries and how we can set them to protect us, and use them to maintain in peace in our lives. But before we dive in, I want to remind you that we have some wonderful resources available for you. You can download our free mini ebook, 5 Simple Ways to Set Your Intentions for a Harmonious Life, as well as if you're ready to go deeper, you can check out our full 102-page ebook/workbook, Balancing Act, a guide to harmonizing your life. Both are designed to help you to find more peace, clarity, and balance. Now, today's episode is all about boundaries and why they're so essential for protecting our peace and maintaining balance, and on how we can set them without feeling guilty. We'll be diving into practical tips and real-life stories, and we'll even take a look at some insights from Chapter 7 of the Balancing Act workbook, which focuses on setting and maintaining healthy boundaries. But before we start, let's take a moment to center ourselves for a short meditation. But before we do that, let's take a quick break, all right? It's your girl, the Goddess, Nyomi Banks, here on the Season of Self-Love podcast, and we'll be right back. Hey, it's your girl, the Goddess, Nyomi Banks, and make sure you tune in every Thursday night to Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap podcast, where we talk about everything from love, sex, relationship, cultural differences, and so much more. We're bridging the gap between them all, and we even talk about spiritual uplifting. You need to stop by. Me and Dr. Mike, as well as the BTG crew. We have some amazing guests that come through. You never know. Just make sure you tune in Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Go to AskNyomi.com and tell them Nyomi sent you. What are some common barriers that prevent people from expressing? Hey, it's your girl, the Goddess, Nyomi Banks, here from the Season of Self-Love podcast.
Yeah, I would say remorse. So shame and guilt is a very dividing emotional.
And these are one of the many amazing conversations that we have every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Season of Self-Love podcast with myself, Nyomi Banks, as well as our resident therapist, Dr. Will Washington of Washington Wellness Institute. Come by.
The reality of our relationship with people.
Come by.
And a lot of times we're afraid of how people look at us. And so that compassion can't enter.
You can hit us on our website, the Season of Self-Love podcast.com. Let me ask you this, with the truth, is it... Hey, my beautiful people, this is your girl, your host, Nyomi Banks, here of the Season of Self-Love. And I just want to take a quick moment to share some exciting resources from our series, The Act of Balancing Life. Are you ready to bring more harmony into your life? Well, we have a free mini ebook just for you. 5 simple ways to set your intentions for a harmonious life. It's perfect for helping you to align your goals with your values. And if you're ready to go a deeper dive, check out our 102-page ebook/workbook, Balancing Act, a guide to harmonizing your life, loaded with strategies and exercises. Plus, don't miss our 21-day challenge of living life in balance. Head over to our website right now and grab you a free mini ebook and start your journey towards a balanced life today. All right, well, welcome back to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, And today this is our last week. This is our last week of our series to Act the Balanced in Life here on the Season of Self-Love podcast. Before we get into our topic to hand was about boundaries, let's get ready for this guided meditation, all right? So wherever you at, I invite you to close your eyes. If it's safe, or just simply soften your gaze, okay? All right, so let's just take a deep breath in. I want you to hold for a moment. Now slowly exhale. All right, let's do that one more time. Let's inhale in deeply. I want you to hold for a moment. Now when you slowly exhale, I want you to let go of any tension that you may be holding on to in your body. Now as you continue to breathe, I want you to think about your boundaries. I want you to think about the lines that you've drawn to protect your peace and your energy. I want you to visualize these boundaries as clear, strong, and flexible. These lines, they keep out what drains you while allowing in what nourishes you. Now I want you to focus on these two words: peace and stress. Now I want you to inhale peace. And I want you to exhale stress. Now with each breath, I want you to set an intention for today's episode. Whether it's learning how to set a new boundary, strengthening an existing one, or simply reflecting on the boundaries that you've set. I want you to let that intention guide you through this conversation, all right? Now take one more deep breath in. Now exhale slowly. Now when you are ready, I want you to gently open your eyes and bring your awareness back to this present moment, all right? All right, so thank you for sharing that moment with me. And if you are new here to the Season of Self-Love podcast, that's something we do every day, Monday through Friday, here on the Season of Self-Love, just to help to center ourselves before we get into the topic at hand. All right, so now I would like to share from you one of our listeners, Rachel, who reached out to us after our last episode. And her story reflects on the challenges that so many of us face when it comes to balancing personal and professional responsibilities. And here is what she has said. She said, "Dear Nyomi, I've been listening to your podcast and wanted to share how much I resonated with last week's episode about finding oneself beyond being a mother and a caregiver. I find myself in a similar situation. I run my own business while juggling family responsibilities, and I struggle to find balance. It often feels very overwhelming, and I realize that I need to set clearer boundaries between my personal life and work. How do I go about establishing these boundaries without feeling guilty? Thank you for your insights. Sincerely, Rachel." Well, first, Rachel, thank you so much for writing in and for sharing your experience. I know many of our listeners can relate to what you're going through, feeling so very overwhelmed by the demands of work, family, and personal responsibilities. I mean, we've all been there. Setting boundaries can feel tough, especially when guilt creeps in. But today we're going to explore on how you can set and maintain those boundaries without sacrificing your peace of feeling guilty. Now let's start by addressing Rachel's question about how to establish boundaries without feeling guilty. First, let's acknowledge the guilt. It's a natural response when we are used to putting others before ourselves. But boundaries are not about being selfish. They're about ensuring that you can show up fully for the people and the things that matter the most without burning out. Now look, in chapter 7 of our ebook, The Balancing Act, we dive into the importance of setting our boundaries to protect our time and our energy, and our well-being. So let's explore some key points from that chapter. Let's talk about establishing healthy boundaries, all right? Healthy boundaries are about protecting your physical, emotional, and mental well-being, right? And it's also important to recognize that these signs of boundary violations, so when you feel drained, overwhelmed, or resentful, that's often a sign that your boundaries are being crossed. And this can happen in your personal relationship, at work, or even with yourself when you are overcommitting. We have to start by being honest with ourselves about where our limits are and what activities, relationships, or commitments drain you. Once you identify those areas, it becomes easier to set boundaries to protect your peace. So let me share something with you all, and I'm going to be very, very honest with this. I am so guilty of this. Man, I am so very guilty of this that it's been very hard for me to say no to myself. I know a lot of times you all hear me say that I am a recovering perfectionist, and I am. Every day is a battle for me to not want to be a perfectionist. But just last week, I was introduced to a very new book, and I'm going to talk about it in our next series, for next month's series. And it's called Change Your Paradigm to Change Your Life. It's the book. It's an Audible book that I've committed to listening to for the next 60 days, every day for 30 minutes. But of course, I listen to it more than that. But within that book, it would just talk about different things, about repetitive, so many different things. But one thing that I did learn in that book is about learning about we all have a sense of perfectionist about ourselves. And for me, I tap into that. But when I tap into that, I don't allow myself the grace, meaning that I don't give myself the time to rest and relax, to learn from whatever is happening in that moment. Does that make sense to any of you all? Meaning that I know that, okay, remember I told you that I was diagnosed with vertigo. All right. Last week I announced that I had started the 75 hard challenge. Mind you, I've just been going. So let me tell you, this is all the madness that I'm going through, because now I want to do everything the very best. Like I want to do everything the very best. I took perfection out. Now it's like I want to do the very best of things, right? So I'm going to do the 75 hard because I'm going out this year with a bang. If y'all remember the episode, if not, go back to that episode, but I announced that. All right. So I'm going out this year with the 75-day hard. Mind you, I was just diagnosed with vertigo, so I'm dizzy. As I'm even talking with you all, the room is spinning. There's days that I cannot get out of bed. So in the 75 hard, if you guys can remember, I have to do 2 45-minute exercises a day. 2 45-minute exercises a day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. I have to do a 10-page reading a day of a book. I love to read, right? That should be so easy, right? Right. Eat a very balanced meal. That's a part of my dieting, right? No sugar, no alcohol, right? Yeah, right. Drink 1 gallon of water. Great, right? Like, okay, yeah, I got this. I got this because I've done something like this before, right? Well, before, there weren't certain things that I wasn't doing. I wasn't going to the doctors. I wasn't seeing a neurologist. I wasn't on certain medications. I wasn't I didn't have vertigo in full blown. You understand? So there are certain things in diets that I need to eat. There are certain times that I need to make sure that I have things balanced in my meal. There are certain activities and certain exercises that I'm unable to do. There are certain things that's restricted me to really go hard in the 75 like I know how to do. Not only that, but what I've done is I have now agitated and irritated it even more because now I've stressed myself. I've now overwhelmed myself even more with stressing to make sure that I do all of my rules of my 75 hard within that day. Mind you, I'm not getting sleep because I'm going through perimenopause. So in that moment, I could have told myself, no, don't do that. I even posted a video of it. And I was even in that video like, girl, you can do this. You can still do this. And my body like, no, baby. This is not about you quitting. This is about you paying attention to your body. This ain't got nothing to do with you failing. This ain't got nothing to do with you limiting yourself. This ain't got nothing to do with this. This got something to do with you paying attention to your body, understanding your boundaries right now. And I didn't. I did not. So when I say, as every day as I'm learning, I learn more and more and more. I get it right sometimes, and then sometimes I do not. So when I do come on here and I speak to you on this platform, I do not pretend to be perfect. I do not pretend to be perfect. I am what you call, I am a student for life. But also I am a teacher of life. So what I learn, I will teach. What I want to be a student of, I will ask. What I will screw up, I will say. Because I know anyone that is listening to this episode right now in this show will like, you know what, that's me. I don't know how to tell myself no either. How do we get there, Naomi? Am I the only one? How do we get there? How do we tell ourselves no? How does saying no to unnecessary obligations? How? Because I know how hard it can be to say no. Because I don't want to disappoint others and I don't want to disappoint myself. What I do recognize is every time that you say yes, something drains your energy. Something drains my energy. But you saying no to something that could fill you up. Let me tell you, the best thing that happened to me is when I woke up that next morning and I said, no, I'm not doing this 75 no more. There was like a release that came from off of me. Oh my God, it felt so good. Just saying no to myself felt so good. It felt so good. So learning to say no, for me, is one of the most powerful things to self-care. It is. And I have to remind myself that every day. It's a repetitive thing that I have to remind myself every day. And when I tell you, when we talk about something, next month's series, we're going to talk about the paragon. Oh, we're going to talk about that. And it's going to be very beneficial for next month's series. All right, I got a tip for you on saying no. So when you're about to agree with something, pause and ask yourself, does this align with my values? And make sure you know what the hell your values are. Would it enhance my well-being or lead to resentment? And if it doesn't feel right, it's okay to say no. And that's even with yourself. I'm a prime example. I'm going to go back to that 75 hard. Did that 75 hard align with my values? Yes, part of it did. Yes, it did. But physically and rationally, it did not fit into physically what I was able to do at that time. So in part of my values, in my mental, no, it did not. Because being mentally stable, that did not fit in one of my values. So no, it didn't. Does that make sense? All right, so let's talk about communicating boundaries. Setting boundaries is one thing, but communicating them is equally important. So when expressing your boundaries, it's so crucial to be clear and confident. You don't need to apologize for protecting your peace. Here's an example. If someone keeps asking you to take an extra work, you can say, I'm currently focusing on my priorities and won't be able to take on anything additionally at the moment. Simply, clear, and no apologies. That's it. Simple, clear, and no apologies. Now, once you set your boundaries, it's important to maintain them. That's where self-care comes in, making sure that you're regularly checking in with yourself to ensure your boundaries are still serving you. And it also helps to build a support network of people who respect your boundaries and can hold you accountable. I have that. I am so blessed to have that. I have my sister and I have my man. Yes. And I love that. We are accountable for each other. All right, so I want to share something with you guys. All right, I want to share a quick story from another listener who successfully implemented boundaries in her life. All right, she used to struggle with overcommitting at work, saying yes to every project that came her way. But after reflecting on her values and setting firm boundaries around her time, she not only felt more balanced, but also found that her productivity and happiness increased. It's proof that boundaries are not just about saying no, they're about saying yes to the things that truly matter. All right, so now I would like to introduce a 21-day challenge, all right, for all of you. All right, I want to introduce a 21-day challenge. So for the next 21 days, I challenge you to identify and implement a new boundary each week. This can be in your personal life, at work, or in your personal relationship. Maybe it's something as simple as setting aside 30 minutes or in uninterrupted time for yourself each day. Or maybe it's about saying no to a commitment that is not aligned with your values. Throughout the challenge, I encourage you to journal your experience. Write about how it feels to set this boundary, what resistance, if any, you encounter, and how you feel afterward. This is a great way to reflect on the process and reinforce your commitment to maintaining your peace. All right? This is something new. Please. And once you do this 21-day challenge, and then I say each week, one new boundary each week. So the 21 days says, say week 1, you do this, that 1 week, and then week 2, and you do that week, and then week 3, which will be your third week, 21 day, and then that's the challenge for that day. Y'all got it? All right. All right. All right, my beautiful people. Well, this is short, sweet, and I thank you all for just riding this ride with me on this series, The Act of Balancing Life. I'm so excited for the new series. We have some amazing guests this week that's coming up. Ms. Dagna, I believe she's coming on either tomorrow or day at the next, but anyway, she'll be on, as well as we have a return from Mike Finch is coming up this week as well. So, my beautiful people, as we wrap today's episode, let's quickly recap on what we learned. We learned about boundaries and how they are essential for protecting our peace and maintaining balance and ensuring that you can show up fully up for yourself and others. And it's okay to say no. And it's okay to prioritize yourself. And it's okay to communicate your boundaries with confidence. And don't forget to download our free mini ebook and check out the full workbook Balancing Act, which include more tips and exercises to help you set healthy boundaries. And if you're ready to take action, join us for the 21-day challenge. You can start, it's over with, but you can start from one. That's still there. You can still start whenever day you want to. And I want to thank Rachel for your beautiful letter, and thank you to everyone for tuning in today. I encourage you to share your boundary setting experience with us on social media and via email. I love to hear how this challenge is going for you. And next week, we will be diving into a new series, a new topic. Yeah. So be sure to subscribe and tune in. So until next time, take care of yourselves, protect your peace, and remember that setting boundaries is an act of self-love. Have a good one. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovering and empowerment here at the Season of Self-Love podcast. Remember, embracing self-love is a continuous journey, and we're so glad to have you with us. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook at Season of Self-Love. Connect with like-minded individuals who are also on their self-love journey. Now, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to explore, we love to hear from you. Email us at seasonofselflove@gmail.com and let your voice be heard. So until next time, take a moment for yourself today and remember, you are worthy of love, joy, and all the beautiful things that life has to offer.